Wait, are we live? That can't be right. No, we're here. Welcome back. I am your host, Dave. I'll be running Metahumans Rising tonight, and with us we've assembled a crew of superheroes and super players. why don't we go around the virtual table and introduce everyone, and then I'll kind of break down what's going on and what the action was, because it's been a while since we've been here, and this is part 2 of an adventure. So, I'm just going to start from who I see first on the Twitch stream. So Aliana, I'm calling you out. Who are you? And who's your character?
I'm, as usual, Miranda, the super fast bunny. I don't have a superhero name yet. But I am fast, cute, and I'm pretty sure the last thing we were doing was taking away all the, this special drug away from people who are using it to get all buffed and stuff and turn them into themselves into superheroes. So that's what I was doing last.
That is right. A new drug was on the street called snake oil, and it seemed to be marketed to the fitness crowd. I'll give a more in-depth recap after we finish the introductions. Next on our list is KG.
Hey everybody, you can call me KG. I'm playing Paragon, the archaeologist who encountered some artifacts and has since taken up the mantle of a superhero.
Excellent. And next on our list we have Michael.
Greetings, I'm Michael. I'm playing Hopkules, a stuffed bunny given life by a child metahuman. He is basically just wandering around, now immortal, trying to do whatever he can to help people.
Doing what stuffed bunnies do when they're given life?
Pretty much, it's like, what else is he going to do? He doesn't sleep, he doesn't eat, he doesn't, can't just go to the bar and hang out. He's a stuffed bunny. People tend to try and, pick him up and hug him.
And doesn't he also provide baked goods?
Yes, he in the bookstore where he resides mostly, he basically bakes goods, carries them with him wherever he goes, and will freely hand them out to people because that's just kind of how he rolls.
All right. And our final player has not arrived yet. That is Spud. I'm going to assume the potato is still in the oven. It's baking. It'll be here when it's ready. Those always seem to take a while. But he is playing Bernadette, the telekinetic teen with rage issues. Not to be confused with that other telekinetic teen with rage issues that may have had a few movies named after themselves. Yeah. So, just as a recap, in our last session, the team caught a news story about a college athlete having a fit of rage and being strong enough to tear a swim lane line from its mooring just to get another competitor. This led to the investigation. Interviewing him at the police station, you were able to find out that he was using a new drug, again called snake oil, which seems to amplify one's strength, but if you don't get it, it leaves you very, we'll say, wrung out, dehydrated, just kind of lessened without it. And it seems to have some extremely addictive properties. Following that up, you took it to the college where he was after striking a deal with both the athlete and the police, where you were able to retrieve his book bag from his frat, while half the team went to retrieve the book bag, while the other half went to check out the coach and see if he might be part of this or what might be going on there. While it seemed that he was running a clean program and generally upset about what had happened, he also tried to recruit the super fast bunny into running track, but it turns out you have to actually attend the college, and that's just not going to work out. More so, he mentioned that a local, or not a local, one of the football players had also been showing some of those same signs, like accelerated improvement, and said, "Hey, you should probably talk to the football coach. I'm not part of that." I don't want to say sport, but like separate courses have their that's a different program. That's what I was like for program, right? He's part of a different program, so I don't really have a lot of details. I've just been talking to the other coach. It's like he's pointing out this really impressive improvement. Following up with the police, you passed that lead off to them, and then went to investigate the other tip that the swimmer had given you, which was where he was going to pick up his next supply of drugs. This happened at an abandoned strip mall that used to house a box store and a gym. And of course, the deal was going on in the gym that they kind of turned into an auditorium for this dealer. When you confronted him, it turned out that he was a metahuman himself who had some type of electrical powers. And you were able to both stop him, collect the snake oil, and convince the remaining jocks just to give up because they knew they weren't going to get anything they wanted. And having seen the dealer who had powers far beyond their own just get, I mean, if we're to use a popular vernacular, wrecked. There wasn't much else to do there, and so they were able to give up. Following that, we had a bit of investigation where you were able to find where the van had come from. So you actually have the GPS coordinates of where the dealer had left to come to the drop point. Now, the arrangement that you made with the police, if you remember, was that they were going to check the vehicle in, but then allow you to use the vehicle to follow it back to where it had come from. So that was the arrangement that you had made out. And that, I think that brings us back up to speed. Any questions or anything else you want to add to the recap there?
You nailed it pretty good there. I mean, it was a team effort to take out the dealer.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. I did kind of skip the highlight reels of who did what there, and so I apologize for that. And I totally did cheat because I listened to the YouTube recording of our session just before this one.
Yeah. Well, the super fast bunny just jumped out of the rafters and dropped on his head, which was definitely memorable.
That kind of set up a chain of events that did not end up well for Rampage, the drug dealer.
Anyway, so this puts us on the road at this point.
Well, that brings up a question, right? Because you guys have the van, you can try and press the advantage, and go back now. But you also just had this encounter. I don't know how you guys are feeling. Oh, mechanically, everyone starts with their starting willpower again, right? So that's refreshed. But your stamina is still where it was in our last session. Okay, so I don't know how you guys are feeling about going to investigate or anything along those lines.
EUN is good to go.
The small amount of damage I've taken would only take me like probably less than a minute to really fix up on myself, so I'm good to go.
That's right. You have that, like you stitch yourself up outside of combat, right?
Yeah.
Just describe what that looks like. Let's picture this in the aftermath of the battle. What does it look like when Hopkules is healing?
I don't remember what hit him last session. I'm assuming it was probably like a blunt force type attack, so he probably popped the seam, so it's just him sitting on the ground, opening his little satchel, pulling out twine, little scissors, slowly stitching himself up. And once the stitches are in place, the magic that animates him, or the meta power, whatever it is that actually animates him, because it's not specifically a magic, will basically incorporate whatever he repairs as part of him.
So, like if he had like part of his fur ripped off, he could like stitch on something else, and it would just kind of become fur for him.
Correct. Like if you broke his sword in half, he could glue it back together, and then the sword would actually become whole via the power that animates him.
That's fun. All right, yeah. So while you're doing that, let's have the discussion between the group about what the next steps are.
I thought we were taking this van up someplace.
Yeah, we're gonna. I believe we're gonna try and follow it back to wherever it came from to figure out how big the operation is. I'm assuming we're gonna go and check and see if, or do some reconnaissance. But
So I think at this point we have the lead on the football player still. We have Rampage in custody.
mm-hmm.
Do we have much of anything else to really work with beyond those two that I'm not remembering?
The GPS. That's the one that we're the group
Right.
is discussing.
So we can't probably do anything much with Rampage except, give him over to the police to
Correct.
probably, get some medical attention after he got his butt whipped.
Yeah,
And,
he actually has to go and he's going to the hospital before he goes to jail.
Alright, so we can't get any information out of him now. So I guess if everyone's, good with it, we could go for the GPS location now and then look into the football player the next day.
I think that we should probably go and see what we can find at the GPS location now, because who knows if like the Rampage was supposed to return or not. And if they're supposed to return, then we might lose the element of surprise. So my vote's for putting the football player off for another day.
I'm good with that.
All right. So the four of you, and we'll say that Bernadette is taking a breather just because Bud has not joined us yet. But we'll assume that she is with you. She was hurt a lot more than you guys were, if I remember correctly.
Right.
But you're going to follow the, or you're going to take the van back to where it came from whence it came. All right. So, how are this is going to sound like a weird question, but one, who's driving, and then two, how are people arranged in the van?
I mean,
I'll drive. Do I have drive stats? I thought I had drive.
So the talent is vehicle, but there's no real vehicle rolls unless you're in a high-speed chase or something like that.
Okay.
I feel like maybe KG should drive since, he's the least obvious of us as a driver. Either
Right.
you or I might attract attention. I would probably attract even more being the stuff bunny, but you would also probably attract attention in the driver's seat of the van.
You're a little bit recognizable.
Okay. I could always just run outside.
Right, in theory, you don't even need to be in the van, so...
But there's plenty of room in the van. Might as well put your feet up for a little
I
bit.
know I was making a joke.
Oh, okay.
A joke.
Okay.
Get tired of how full the van is. Get out, try and push it to make it go faster. All right. So does that mean everyone else is in the back of the van, someone in the passenger seat?
I mean, I can be hidden in the passenger seat because I'm small,
That's true.
and this will give me if like they see Paragon driving up and they try to shoot him or something, it'll at least put me in a position to block for him.
Much appreciated.
Okay. All right. All right. So the four of you are going to jump in the van. With Paragon driving and a stuffed bunny in the passenger seat. Miranda and Bernadette in the back, kind of hidden.
Is there anything interesting in the back?
So this is it's not a box truck, but it is like it's a cargo van, not a passenger van. So you have kind of a slatted floor. There's like some bumpers that can be adjusted. And then there's not even like drop seats or anything like that, right? There may be some like some handholds if like you're standing up in the back, like you can reach up and hold on to like a strap, kind of like if you're on a bus, right? It's not metal; it's just fabric, but it's sturdy, and like these could also also be used for tie downs and things like that, right? And so you have those same kind of hooks in the back, right? Like there's not a lot necessarily that's interesting back there, but like hopefully you have a picture of what kind of band this is.
Yep.
And it does look like Spud has joined us. Just want to acknowledge that. So welcome.
Hello.
And now we are off to see where people came from.
Are the coordinates pretty easy to follow?
I mean, like you turn on the GPS, it's going to map out the route for you.
Okay.
Right. Like I said, there's no need for like actually having the vehicle talent. Right. We're not in any kind of high speed chase or anything like that. But it is going to take you, this is the fastest route. Yeah.
This is us going after the steroid pushers, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you're in Rampage's van, and in the last session, you were able to notice that the GPS had the home coordinate, like where he came from, right? And so you kind of like flipped it and said, okay, well, let's go back there.
Turns out drug dealers aren't the brightest bulbs in the pack on that regard.
Yeah, I was like, what is this, criminal amateur hour?
Well, they're all strength. They're obviously drugs don't do anything to help the intelligence.
Clearly, his name is Rampage, not Think About It.
That is true.
Yes, his name was Rampage, not think about it. That is a perfect statement. He did not think about it. And so the GPS will take you to the Central City dockyard. Now there is a gate. If I remember correctly, this is like maybe 2-3 in the morning at this point, right? It's gated. There is a rail line that comes through here, and then it connects to the river that runs past Central City. And this is not a minor river. This is a you'd have to be a professional to swim across it river. Okay, just to put that in perspective. Okay, so it is a shipping lane, although you're not going to see like a if I said Panamax, I don't think it's going to mean anything to anybody, but like you see moderately large ships that will come through here, just not like the ocean-sized shipping vessels.
Gotcha.
Right.
So some pretty decent sized barges.
Yes. Right. And so you have your stacks of like shipping containers and stuff like that. Right. You have your cranes and things. KG, since you're driving, can you give me a wisdom plus disguise roll?
Oh, okay. That'll be a wisdom roll.
Yep, so that's just wisdom and 2 dice.
So while he's doing that roll, I want to take some time, look around
25, 2 6s.
through the windows.
Oh, okay. So I'll resolve that roll, but what are you looking for out the windows?
Looking for like guards, any possible I can't say the word suspicious activity.
Yeah. So that actually pertains to the results of this roll, and that rather amazing roll as it is.
Nice.
So you pull up, like obviously the docks are closed, and then a couple of jocks come out from the shadows and open the gates for you, and don't pay attention that you are not a hooded rampage guy, and just let you on in.
It's always nice when your opponents are meatheads.
Well, I mean, it is dark, and I didn't flash them my winning grin, so I did try to scowl a little bit. I think it worked.
Yeah, they basically they come out, they open up the gates. Clearly something is going on. Now this is where the GPS kind of like deposits you.
Yeah.
But it's not hard to figure out where to go from here.
I will slowly just kind of creep in and kind of follow where, ever normal is supposed to be from what I can gather.
Yeah. So essentially, as I said, you kind of make your way through the shipping yard to the docks, and there you will find a small group of the same kind of I believe in the last session, and it's worth repeating that these guys are not just large; they're on the edge of what is humanly possible for large.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, large in the muscular sense, to be clear. Oh, our frames are like way off on the chat.
Wait, did we lose
Or
it
on the Twitch stream? Like our frames are all hibbity jibbities. But I will. Okay.
It was to say something about that, but cool.
But there's a small contingent of these jocks, and they seem to be processing shipping containers, right? Like pulling them off of a ship. And then you spot the person that seems to be directing them.
That was going to be my question, was who's actually giving them direction so they're not just bench pressing shipping containers?
No. They're not in fact bench pressing shipping containers. They seem to be very careful. In fact, more careful than you've really seen these guys operate before, right? And so the person who's directing it. Well, I use person in a loose sense because part of the reason why you didn't identify them just right off the bat is because they were kind of perching on one of the shipping containers. But then again, why would there be a gargoyle perched on a shipping container? Right.
That's a great question.
In a cartoon once. What time is it?
Well, this is about 3 a.m.
All right.
And this gargoyle is very much made out of stone.
I have a question. Is this something that my like archaeology career and history would give me some insight into?
Yeah. Let's do this. Why don't you give me a wisdom? Let's take a look at your character sheet here. Let's do wisdom and occult, and then
Okay.
you can add in your occult scholar. That's a talent, so it's not going to give you an extra drive. But not so much the archaeologist part.
Gotcha. So I'm sorry, you said wisdom and occult talent.
Yeah,
and,
wisdom, occult, and then occult scholar.
and the occult scholar.
Yeah.
And the background gives me more points, but not more dice, right?
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. So it's 3d6.
I just want to throw this out there real quick. Personhood should not be dictated by form, but by sentience. Says the stuffed bunny, which is a sentient creature and does not want to be referred to as a monster.
Can
fair
I
enough.
put the bunny on my shoulder?
Well, I believe you're in the back of the van while he's in the passenger seat.
Okay. I'll save that for later then.
Okay. So I think it's safe to say that it was common geek knowledge to say that gargoyles were like designed to be like looming figures to ward off things or protect things on statues during a period of history, right? However, while the common accepted knowledge is that these are simply elaborate statues that kind of look ugly. You are aware of the concept of like the golem or the animated statue, and idea of giving life to this type of object, right? For the record, that is not to demean Hopkins in any way, right? But to say that it was inanimate at one point and without sentience, and then is somehow infused with sentience.
Mm-hmm.
I relate to this.
Interesting.
Does he look like Goliath or Brooklyn or Broadway?
He looks like nothing that can immediately be associated with New York or the boroughs.
Fair enough. Is there, from what I could see so far, I know it's nighttime and we're slowly approaching. Is there any indication of maybe what tradition that this construct would have been created from, to kind of give me some like magical insight into how they were created and how they might be defeated?
That is a great question. So one thing I do want to clarify, I made a joking remark to Spud there,
Mhm.
but just to give clarification, it's not even so much that they jokingly don't look like the cartoon gargoyles. It is that if I remember correctly, in that cartoon, during nighttime, their stone bodies turn to fleshy material.
Correct.
Right? Whereas this is a creature of living stone.
Gotcha.
So it is definitely like, what do you call it? Functional, movable person stuff.
Yes. That is to say that while it was motionless when you first saw it, it then stood up and gave directions.
I see. Well, but thank you very much for your direction.
Gotcha. So, I'm going to quickly turn to the rest of the group and be like, well, that's a magical construct. And we've got two choices. We can try and negotiate, or we can make an entrance.
And to answer your question, just based on your previous role, probably somewhere between the 4th and 8th century.
Okay. European?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, just judging from the style, like you can't pin it down more than that, but you're like, this is definitely something from the Dark Age.
Yeah. No, just trying to kind of get a feel for what kinds of magics might have helped create it. So as a starting point. So group, do we want to pop out with a bang, or do we want to try and talk them down?
Are there windows in the box truck part?
It's a cargo van, so there's rear windows. So think like the full size vans, not box truck, but vans that you can get from U-Haul.
Okay.
So the
So
sides
I can see the front. I can see through the front.
Yeah, you can see through the front and back, but there's no.
Yeah, there's no side windows, but there are like back windows. And I will say for the point of convenience, those have not been blocked out, even though they were transporting illegal substances.
All right. What if? Okay, we all get out like normal, and then right to start, I throw the entire van at the gargoyle.
I'm good with that.
Sounds like a plan.
Apcules?
If that's how we want to do it, I'm fine. We could try talking, but I would not have high hopes for any success.
I'm not too hopeful about talking down an ancient gargoyle or a bunch of meatheads.
We could try it and then do the van thing.
Yeah, so I will just kind of pull up as normal and or as what I might assume would be normal, and keeping like the lights on, and as I go to like turn off the engine, kind of like accidentally flash the brights and turn the lights off immediately.
Okay.
Mostly just to cause them to have to kind of let their eyes focus again before they see us. Does that make sense?
Right. No. That totally makes sense. Yeah. And since you guys are going to take the diplomatic approach, we're not going to worry about any kind of roles or anything like that. It gives you the time to get out with anybody without anyone reacting to you. Right.
Okay. Before you get out of the van, let's establish a word for van throwing. Like, you could say, like, Bananarama. Just throw it into the sentence and I'll fling it at him.
I'm not sure what sentence I'm going to put Bananarama into, so, but I will do my best.
It doesn't have to be Bananarama. That's just what I threw out.
I think that it will be unmistakable.
Bananarama it is.
Mashed potatoes.
All righty. So, Paragon will kind of pop out from the driver's side, reestablishing himself as the rival gang leader concept. Hopkins, are you coming through on my side, or are you going around the other side of the van?
I know, I will come with you so that I'm in position to block anything that might be thrown at you.
Appreciate it. And then the other two, are you going out the side door or going out the back?
I'll go out the back.
Gives you a chance to be sneaky if you want to.
I want there to be as much element of surprise before a 2-ton van goes flying through the air.
Excellent.
She said, unsure if she can even lift it with her mind.
Oh, I'm sure that she can figure out a way to be impressive. So, Miranda, are you hopping out the back or out the side?
I'll hop out the back.
Okay. Are you going to try and be sneaky or stay out of sight right away, or what's the plan?
Stay out of sight and far enough away so that if I have to flash this guy with a bunch of kinetic force, I can do it.
Rock on. All right. I think the stage is set, Dave.
The very literally rock on, since they're made of rock.
Yeah.
Okay, so the two or Burnett and Miranda slip out of the back while people are still recovering from the brights, while Paragon and Hopules come out the front. And so it's your show, it's your diplomacy. Let's see how this goes down.
All right. Let's see. So Paragon's goal would be, I mean, Mike, jump in here for Hopcules, because we kind of did, kind of a tag team thing previously. Paragon's goal is always just to jump right into negotiations. He's a consummate, bargain hunter in that way. But Dave, would you rather I start with some sort of etiquette roll?
Well, so the what I'm trying to understand is what your approach is going to be to the scene, and then we'll figure out the role from there, right?
Okay. Yeah. So the basically coming in, pretending to be a rival dealer and looking to kind of make the whatchamacallit, I don't know, make a splash, and start negotiations about having a cut or whatever the case may be. So jumping into that, saying, "Hey, who's in charge around here?"
All right.
I just ran into one of your boys botching a job, and the cops just snatched him up. You guys need better workers.
All right. Now that you're out of the van, and you start talking, it gets dead silent, right? Because you are not the person that was supposed to be in that van.
Nope.
And you hear the sound of stone grinding on stone as the gargoyle looks at you.
I think 60-40 is going to be fair. I'll take 60 to keep you guys out of jail.
And his response is very short. What? He's kind of stunned by the incredulousness of your appearance. It seems. Go ahead and roll your. We're gonna go with your expression because you're trying to impress him, but you can either roll your etiquette or your negotiation.
I'll go with negotiation because that's kind of his style. Expression and negotiation. Got it. Hopcules, you're right there. What are you up to at this point?
Well, we hit a problem because I'm not sure how to help you. Hopkules doesn't really lie to people.
I didn't say a single lie.
Well, it just
Let me clarify.
the way you're going about it, acting like a rival drug dealer.
Ah, yes.
The request for like a 60-40 split, he doesn't know how to interact with that. So he's
That's
just
fair.
kind of standing there confused slightly.
All right. So, do a quick look at something here.
I mean, when I assume, and this isn't against you, this is just my assumption. When this goes terribly wrong, I think I have a thing to help us out afterwards. I'm just assuming that like Gargoyle is going to jump down and try and rip your head off.
Oh, yeah. No, I absolutely don't think this is going to go well. I don't think there is any negotiating with a gargoyle, but
But it's worth trying.
and this
Well,
seems like more fun than saying, "Hey, we're here to stop you in the name of good."
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Is it time for me to like slip off quietly and start gathering kinetic energy by running around the block until I'm close to Mach 1?
So, so his first response is what? Very incredulous. But then he says, with the refinement of an English butler, if you were so capable, how is it that you did not arrive with my companion? I do not believe you can be trusted.
Jeeves caught me. Nope, we're here to take you in. Just like we locked him up.
And so back to that gruff voice, and you hear a crush him, right? And unlike before, when the jocks would throw basically anything as a ranged attack, they will not be throwing the boxes that they were unloading.
Can I add one thing in?
Sure.
Now that the facade has dropped, Hopkules would like to directly address the gang members or the jocks, and in a very polite tone, inform them, you don't actually have to fight us if you don't want to. You could just let us take in this guy, and in the confusion, run away.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you pause on that statement because I think that is the perfect moment for Miranda to drop kick the gargoyle. Since we knew that they were building up speed and just waiting for this to go bad.
All right. Well,
Correct me if I'm wrong there.
I am ready. I am ready to hit the gargoyle at top speed, but not so going so fast that you'll hear a sonic boom before that happens.
Okay.
Well, maybe I could get up to Mach 1 by the time I'm impacted. So let's do that.
All right. So you'll go ahead and you'll roll your move through.
Okay. Move through. Darn it. What roll is that for me?
If you click on my icon, I've highlighted it for you.
Okay.
So it's this 12 plus 5 dice.
This roll here.
Can I amend one thing to my statement?
Sure.
After she does the kick, Hopkules will then also add, and if you want, you can then go and get yourselves a banana-rama.
No, it's blown before that. It's blown as soon as she kicks him.
Ah,
Here we go. 13653 totals 30.
Yeah. So okay. That's a 30.
16.
And You are catching him by surprise. How much damage do you do?
That one. I don't know if move through had a damage thing.
I have it highlighted for you. It's 16.
Why can't I? I'm going to need to take this sheet. Okay, 16. I need to take this sheet and make it so I know where stuff is. All right, so I do 16 damage. Do I do anything plus on top of that?
Well, you said you rolled a 6, and so that's an extra 2 damage.
Okay, so 18.
All right, so you collide with Gargoyle. And what does that look like for you, or from your side? Because you were literally running into a brick wall.
I'm going to put my arms out like this, so that it's not my, or it's my, it's these two paws hitting, like some running streamline, basically. And so that my body's not the first thing to impact. It's just a huge fist made with two paws, just like that.
Okay. All right. So you collide into him and kind of like roll over just due to momentum. And there is this streak in the air of the impact of broken stone. And you can see it just kind of floating in the air, unmoving. And he turns and looks at you. And at that point, Bernadette, we want to do the Bernadette thing?
Yeah, I'll lift the van if possible.
Yeah.
And chuck it at him. I'm not gonna hit Miranda, right?
No, Miranda has a move through. So Miranda like rolled over him.
Right.
Yes, I passed through him.
Alright, so I have to roll my power plus my. I have to make a lift roll, right? Or is this a straight up attack?
You're making a lift roll to add to add the van to your damage. And so a lift roll is just going to be your power and parent attribute if you have control.
Which I do not.
So you'll spend a willpower for control, and then you'll make that roll. I'll go ahead and tell you. We're just going to go with the full size sedan. All right, so you want to hit a 30.
You could always spend another willpower to explode the dice, or possibly buy boost control to give you a better chance of hitting that target.
I could. I will spend an extra willpower to explode the die. Well, I'm rolling an 18 on 3 dice. I probably could hit a 30, but why risk it?
Yeah, that's a 12 or better. I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, so go ahead and make your roll. Let's see how that works out. Yeah,
36.
good thing you did that. All right, so you heft it up, and now you'll go ahead and make your attack roll as normal. You are at a -5 because you're lobbing a van, but you get +3 damage.
Does a 27 hit him?
A 27 does hit him.
Sweet, he takes 13 damage.
Okay, so he turns to see the van coming right at him.
Oh man, I rolled one. I should have rolled an extra die.
And you know what it's supposed to look like when a person would be hit by like a car or a van, right? Except it's more like the roles are reversed here. He had that moment notification, and so the van just kind of pancakes on him. And you can see more of these shards kind of floating around him now. But then the van just kind of falls to the ground. Let's go ahead and roll initiative with that.
Out of curiosity, do I make any roll for my attempt to persuade the?
Yeah. Go ahead and let's call that. We're trying to reason. Let's call that a negotiation roll. Yeah, we'll call it a negotiation roll. So mental plus negotiation.
I was hoping for etiquette, since I'm not actually trying to like negotiate with them. Really, I'm simply suggesting that they leave instead of engaging us in combat. Obvious superhumans.
Can he get a bonus for my my power? Because they just saw me throw a van at some dude.
So what they saw was the lightning fast punch of a bunny, and then the crumpling of the van against Gargoyle, and so I'm kind of having those two things kind of balance out. Right. Because, like I said, he didn't move from that, and by all accounts, that should knock someone flying. Right. And Mike, what I'll say is I'll let you roll etiquette, but the difficulty will be higher.
Well, I'll take it because I got a much better chance, even with the probably higher difficulty.
Lean into that baking strength.
No, this is etiquette, not domestic.
Oh, I just figured that like the smell of fresh baked cookies was wafting in the air to help. I don't know.
Sadly, I haven't deployed the secret weapon yet.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I'm going to spend a willpower to explode the dice.
All right. Okay, so I will resolve that in the turn order. So go ahead and let's finish up rolling out initiatives.
I got my willpower back for that 6.
Initiative.
Also, I think the little dice screen on the stream isn't working. While people are rolling, what other things in the area are there? Like, what kind of possible cover, possible improvised weapons would there be around here?
So you're in a shipping yard. You have you have a crane that is right here. You've got shipping containers that are mounted. You have shipping containers that are loose. You've got one that's open that they're bringing crates out of. You got options when it comes to that.
And also, out of curiosity, will the car that's wrapped around Gargo actually like have any kind of negative effect on him when it's his turn? Is he gonna have to like spend a turn getting out of it?
Oh no! It kind of it impacted him and then just kind of fell to the ground. Spud, though, you're not going to need another action to lift it. You can still control it. It's just in worse for wear shape now.
Oh, that's fine. I was going to use it as a big ass disc and hit people with it.
Yeah, I just like the idea of like the car wrapping around him, then him getting stuck in it. That would have been funny.
That actually is pretty good.
Actually, gives me an idea for an interesting justification for like spending willpower to buy trapping while using an improvised weapon.
How so?
Just when you hit them with the improvised weapon, using the willpower on trapping to have the weapon like kind of like wrap around them or crush around them and hold them in place so they have to break free. I think that'd be a pretty interesting special effect.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Okay, so just as a reminder, we go from slowest to fastest, which allows for people with higher initiative to see what's happening and interrupt if they want to. Okay. With that in mind, the jocks are just going to stand there for a moment and consider their life choices. They're not running, they're not attacking, but they are paused here. Like they want to see what happens next. And they're reserving the right to do something, but they're not ready to just jump to the defensive gargoyle. So that brings us to Bernadette. You still have control of the van, although the bonus from the van drops down to a plus.
Time for a little van Hulk smash.
You with us?
All right.
Oh, sorry. I'm here. What happened? So sorry. My thing froze.
Oh, sorry about that. I was saying that the jocks are evaluating the situation. They haven't attacked just yet, but they haven't run away. They're kind of just kind of waiting to see what happens next. And that brings us to your turn. You saw that control of the van. It's just only going to give you a +2 bonus this time.
Right on. I guess I'll use it to. Well, if the jocks aren't going to start swinging yet, then I guess I'll just use it to bash this gargoyle around.
Okay.
Mineral on mineral violence.
Wouldn't it be mineral on alloy? But go ahead and make your attack.
I don't know metals. I don't have science. I'm a punk.
I mean, are you talking about you or your character there?
Yes.
All right.
It's still a -5, right?
Yeah, it's still at a -5 because you're using an improvised weapon. So that's kind of the trade-off. You take a small penalty to hit, but you get a boost to damage.
So 34 hit him?
34 will absolutely hit him.
14 damage.
And I see you got a 6. Did you add that in?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. All right. And so you have one other action. Do you want to use that now? You want to hold on to that?
Yeah, I'll hold on to it.
Okay.
I just noticed I have this momentum thing, so apparently I should have taken added 6 damage to the whole thing above there.
It's already included in the value of the ball.
Okay.
Yeah, so like there's a note right there that says already included.
All right, I did miss that part. Okay. Fine.
No problem. Okay. Yeah, so you hit him with a van again, and this time he's like fast enough to like try and like slap it out of the way. You can see that you're still like cracking whatever carapace is makes him up, But at the well, not Gary, like he's made out of rock, and you're breaking off rock, but the rock is just kind of floating there, until it stops floating there and just kind of starts piecing back together along his body.
I don't like that.
And he will leap into the air and attempt to grab one of the crates. Seemingly to ignore you at the moment.
So wait, is he like grabbing the crate and running?
Well, I hadn't got to that second part yet, but he's starting by grabbing the crate. Yeah. So he lifts the crate with the claws on his feet, and then will spend his next action to lift into the air.
I want to spend my action to grab the crate.
All right. Go ahead and spend a willpower for control, and then you can try and grab the crate from him. So essentially, what you're doing is like I rolled a 43 for him to lift the crate, and you're going to try and beat his roll to take it away from him.
Yeah, I'm going to explode my dice because there's no way I'm going to beat that roll.
Like Gargoyle's made out of rock. He's pretty beefy.
Yeah, nah.
All right. So it turns out that even with your telekinetic talents, he is that strong, and is able just like to push past your efforts there. Populese, what are you doing in this situation?
How high is he getting? Is he able to get the crate? Do I have time to run over and try and grab the crate?
You can certainly try. Like we would say he's at short range at this point, right?
And for the audience, because this is a system that not everyone's familiar with, because Hopkins technically is going faster than the gargoyle, this would be trying to use an action to intervene with their attempt, right?
Yeah. So he's rising up, and you would you would be catching him on his ascent, essentially.
Well,
Right.
It's not that I'm trying to interrupt him so much as I want to like grab the crate and stop him. So if he's close enough to the ground is what I'm curious about for me to grab it.
Yeah. So like my thought is he's probably like 5 meters off the ground. He's not that high in the air yet, but he is at short range just in general, right?
Do I have enough time to jump on his head and like wrap something around his head so he can't see or something?
Well, let me resolve Hopkins' turn, and we'll catch up with you there.
All right. So if he's already 5 meters off the ground, then the crate's already too high for me to grab.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, if you made a movement roll, I could say that you can get, you have enough things that you can like scramble up and off and jump onto the crate.
Okay, I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying. I'm not trying to jump onto the crate. I want to grab the crate to stop him from lifting it off the ground.
Oh, I see.
And if he's already 5 meters up, then he's too high for me to do that.
Yep, it's off the ground at this point. Yeah. Like so Bernadette tried to stop him from getting it off the ground, and he overpowered her, and so it's off the ground at this point.
I don't have many good options.
Do you want to hold your action and we'll see how
Yeah.
things progress?
How,
Okay.
how many crates are there that we can see?
So in the cargo container, there's probably like 2 more, and then there was another one on the ground, but he can only really carry the one.
Oh,
Right?
that's fine. I was just trying to think like if that one somehow gets damaged, is there still enough evidence left behind? So thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Miranda, what was your plan here?
I'd like to hop onto his head and try to wrap his head up in something like cloth or something that I have so we can't see crap.
Okay. All right. So
Acrobatics and fitness and stuff like that. I should be able to do a bunny hop up there.
why don't you spend a willpower? Which by the way, your willpower is perception 3. Yeah. So like it's showing as a. Oh, wait, sorry, I'm looking at Bernadette. I was looking at the wrong character. Sorry. Yeah, your willpower should be. Yeah. It's back to your starting levels. So you'll spend a willpower, and you'll be able to use half your power as a meddling ability, which will give him a -4 to any rolls that he makes. Right.
All right. And not using half my power.
You don't need to make any rolls. It's just like if you agree to spend the willpower, that's how it was roll down because we know you can get to him. Right?
Okay, I spent it.
So essentially, like you run up the side of one of the towers, jump off of it and onto him, and I believe you described yourself as wearing a dress with a cape. So we could infer that you use your cape to like wrap around his head.
Yeah, that's what I will do.
All right, so that's going to give him a -4 to any actions that he takes. But that will be both of your actions: one action to get to him and one action to meddle with him. And then that brings us to Paragon. And I have a feeling I know what question you're going to ask, and I'm going to answer it now. Yes, he is magical.
Okay, good. I also the other question that I have is just did, mechanically speaking, from the description, does it look like the jocks have any sort of the bodybuilders and stuff have any sort of actions left, or are they done for the round?
So they opted not to act. Right,
Gotcha.
They wanted to see what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
To break it down to the mechanics, Hopkins got a partial success,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they're not exactly going to comply with what he wanted, right? But I will say, okay, well, it's not a full success, but he did get close to the role, so we're going to give him, something similar to what he's asking for, but not exactly that. And in this instance, they will take a turn to evaluate, right?
Gotcha.
And if they can still act, so if they're given a reason to act, they will, right? But for right now, they're on hold.
Gotcha. No, I just meant for like this turn, if they're like, if they held their action or if they forewent their action.
Yeah, no, they're technically holding their action.
Okay. That's what I thought originally, but yeah. I wasn't sure with the system. So because he's off the ground, I am going to you'll see Paragon kind of reach in to his satchel that's on his side and pulls out a book that he holds out and a couple sigils kind of glimmer over it and across his body over to his other hand, and I will fire an arcane bolt
All right.
at the gargoyle.
Go right ahead.
And thus, KG casts Fist.
Yes.
Yes. If I remember correctly, it's either from your back or from your book. It kind of sprouts wings of light,
Yes.
and then emits bolts that are.
That is correct. I've forgotten.
With eyes on them.
Yeah, little fists with eyes on them, well, actually, they're eyes on the wings that shoot fists out of the pupils. That's
okay. That's even better.
energy fists. And from what I've already determined what type of damage would actually be the best option for me to use. I'm leaning towards something corrosive.
So I will say go with your gut.
Okay. Then I don't remember what the categories are for damage, and I couldn't find it in the book really quick. So not to hold things up, I'll let you kind of fill in the damage type.
Yeah, there's not like really defined damage types.
Okay. No, that's cool.
Yeah.
That makes it easier for me then.
Yeah. So you could say like it's some sort of like acidic blast, or it's fire, whatever you want to define it as.
Yeah, this would be an acidic blast of sorts that launches out and pelts him.
All right.
For 48 to hit.
That will very easily hit. And what's the damage?
The damage is 10.
All right. Let me double check something because it turns out he's vulnerable to magic. And if you remember how I was describing, like these segments of stone were just floating by him, the acid just seems to burn through him. We will assume that Miranda will scramble up onto his shoulders to avoid the acid fists while this is happening.
Oh yeah, I would have been hitting him like dead center.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Okay. He does not need to check to be knocked out or an injury yet, but he ain't happy. All right. Go ahead.
I thought of something. Can I still take my actions?
So technically, Paragon has an action left as long as he doesn't mind you jumping in.
No, go for it. I'm reserving my other action to see what the mooks do.
Okay.
Okay. And I would like to do my bunny leap onto the shipping container.
Okay.
And I basically want to kind of land right where Gargoyle has grabbed onto it. And then I want to use my strength to basically grab his leg and the cargo container and try and separate them via my strength.
All right. So just to clarify, you're trying to separate his foot from the container, not his foot from his body.
Correct.
Okay. I just want to clarify because we've established that he's kind of like a rock, and so I wanted to make sure I understood your vision.
Yeah, okay. Dismembering people is not my forte.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead and you're going to make a movement roll. Your difficulty is 20, right? So that's going to be your dexterity and movement.
All right.
And that's your first action.
Well, considering my minimum roll, if I rolled all ones, is 20, do you still want me to roll?
Not at all. Just
okay.
Know that it took an action to do that. Boom, boom, boom. You did that. So you're able to again. I think I said this before. Like hop off of containers and things like that, and then land where you need to be. And then you'll make a brawn roll to break his hold. That's your strength and brawn, and then I don't know if your power adds to that.
It does, and I'd also like to use explosive dice to take advantage of the special effect of brawn with explosive dice. Oh my.
All right. Yeah, sounds good. And then just for anyone listening, that's like when you explode your dice with brawn, you actually get a bonus to your roll. And it's keeping with the comic book aesthetic of like superheroes that are super strong or really super strong when they want to be. But yeah, go ahead and roll. If I remember correctly, your difficulty is like a 43.
Well, that's a 62 with a 6.
Oh, you rolled over on the Metahumans Rising with the dice roll thing. Okay, I see.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah. So are you? Describe what that looks like. So I know you said 1 foot, but that's a clear success, right? What does that look like to you?
To me, it would be basically he's still holding on to his part of the container, but I've basically ripped that part of the container free from him. So the container that he's holding on to is no longer attached to the container itself. It's kind of how I would picture the strength versus strength thing happening.
So acknowledging that he's stronger than the container, the metal is the weakest point in the link. Okay, I got it. All right. And so is it just the 1 foot or is it both feet? Like is the container dropping at this point?
I mean, if his 2 feet are close enough together, then yeah, I would assume I would go for both feet because I want him to drop the container.
Yeah. So maybe we describe it as like you rend the container on one side and maybe use your sword to like pry the other side off after you like fall back onto it. Right. And it's a short drop, but you're okay. And that brings us back around to Paragon's second action.
Fluffy Bunny went Hulk. Paragon, like with his second action, is going to kind of try and position himself between where the action's happening and the largest quantity of the mooks, and he'll kind of just look them up and down and say, "Are we doing this, or are you going home?"
All right, go ahead and I'm inclined to call that mental plus intimidation, but I'm open to suggestions here.
Oh, I'm not even. That's just a free action talking. I'm not trying to use any skills or anything at all. He's simply prepared to counterattack if they rush him.
Gotcha. All right.
And will hold his action to counterattack if they rush him.
Okay, so that brings us back to the top of the initiative order, which means the jocks have to make a decision now. And they just saw all that go down. All right. Let's see here. We'll call this a
What about like a group intimidation check?
Well, I'm rolling to see if they're brave enough to hang tight. And I think what they're going to do is they're going to they are going to break, but they're going to try and grab one of the containers and run with it.
Nope.
So yeah, so they'll spend their turn like as a group lifting one of the containers and starting their action to flee. I heard a nope. Now you are on the shoulders of a gargoyle who's flying away, or was flying away. What are you doing with that nope? Or is that just a general nope for later?
So I'm going to hop off his shoulders now and stop. Stopping these jocks from running away with this. I'm going to land on the other crate. And I'm going to say going somewhere.
All right. I will give you the same same offer there. That's going to be a mental and intimidation roll.
Bring up that sheet again.
So let's take a look at your
I
character
have a
sheet.
mental. I have a what do you call it, mental score, but I don't think I have intimidation.
Yeah, so you can spend a willpower and use your rapid rabbit instead of intimidation. All right, because essentially what they're seeing your powers in action and having to debate their life choices.
Okay, I'm going to spend a willpower and then use rapid rabbits, which is going to make it 5 plus 8 plus 3d6, I'm guessing.
So 13 and 3 dice.
I'm starting to get good at this. Alright, back to the Discord.
And just for funsies, as like a kind of free action type of thing, I'm just going to be, while standing on my container looking up at Gargoyle, just say, I can do this all day, good sir.
I'm curious, like
I rolled a 1 on mine.
when you Hulk out with Hopkules, does like he get ripped, or is it still the same fluffy bun?
I know, it's still just, same 3 foot tall fluffy bunny.
Okay,
He just
I didn't know if
exerts
there was a
strength.
visual change.
Yeah, there's no visual change. He just exerts a strength that he really, really shouldn't possess with his size.
Very cool.
All right, so I think they weren't really that committed anyway, and that's enough to get them just to run. All right, so Bernadette,
That's me.
that is you. Talk to me.
And the rest of the guys are running away, right?
The jocks have again broken right. Like they are not the bravest bunch, right? They realize that they are outmatched, and that people is flinging cars and acid like it's nothing.
And we are crazy people. And how far is the gargoyle guy?
From where you are now, short range.
And if I remember, so both Miranda and Hopkins are dealing with him.
No. Hopkules got the crate free, and it dropped down, and then Miranda dropped down on top of the crate to convince the guys to run.
Yeah, they don't need this crate back.
Okay, so just the gargoyles flying away.
Yeah, so Gargoyle is still in his act of egress. So what would you like to do there?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Okay.
You could always try spend a willpower by the trapping boon for your attack. Attempt to, wrap him up in some kind of telekinetic force, or perhaps use any of the scrap debris we have around here to wrap around him.
Yeah, I could try that. I don't know. I think he might be too strong for that, though.
It more than likely, yes, but it would at the very least waste one of his actions.
Can I specifically, instead of trying to grapple him, just grab his wings so he falls?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Can you bring him down?
It's like a trip attack for flying creatures.
Yeah. So make your attack at a -10, and we'll call it a trip. Yeah. No, 100%.
That's hilarious. I've never thought about a flying trip attack, but yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. No. He has wings, therefore he can have his wings knocked and fall down. Assuming that is flight.
So we have two bunnies on top of two different crates right now.
No, I think they're on top. Well, yeah, no, they're on top of two different crates. That's right. That's right.
I spent a willpower to explode my dice. I got a 39.
Okay. So that will hit. That's half damage. So what's your damage normally?
10.
Okay. All right. So he's fine there, but he will fall down. He's falling down short range. So that is some additional falling damage that I have to deal with because you made him fall down.
I'm going to put money that he just kind of can ignore that damage too. He seems tough enough. That kind of
He
thing to
is.
happen.
Yeah, I figured.
But that does put him back on the ground, and you have one action left.
Well, I'm basically out of willpower, so
If I may offer a suggestion, with him prone and on the ground, you do have an easier time hitting him now. Probably, one would assume. You could go for a big old heavy blow on him.
is he close enough to a container that I could tilt it up and drop it on him?
I mean, there is no place in this entire area that someone is not close enough to have that happen.
Then that is what I'll do. That'll be my heavy blow, technically.
Okay, perfect.
Barely strong enough to lift a van, but I can tip a container over on someone.
You could telekinetically snap the cabling on one of the cranes and just drop it down on him. Like, oh,
Let this container full of stuffed Teletubbies be your doom.
You say a container full of Teletubbies?
I said stuffed Teletubbies.
Stuffed Teletubbies.
is there any other kind?
Oh, this is priceless.
Alright, so it'll still be a -5 because it's an improvised weaponry.
No, like this is just the effect for your heavy blow, so it's fine.
Okay, and heavy, I take a -3, or I take a... Yeah, I don't know, I forgot how heavy blow works.
So for every -10, you get a +3 to damage. For the record, if you're wondering what a cargo container's damage normally does, it's a lift roll of 55, and it adds 6 to damage when it's destroyed after being hit.
That's how much damage?
It would be +6, but so if you want to emulate that with a heavy blow, just take a -20.
Okay, I'll probably miss, but let's go for it anyway.
Yeah, like I
Big
said,
bucks, no
he's
whammies.
prone.
No whammies.
That was
There's not a whammy.
26 with a 6. All right. So how much damage did that do total?
18 with the extra +2.
All right. So this cargo container just comes down on him like a ton of Teletubbies.
After it snaps, I yell out, "Watch out!"
Watch out.
Yeah, I should have said heads up, but my brain just decided to fuck me in that moment.
I want that to be in-game Bernadette muttering to herself, and now for the rest of the day, she's just going to be angry at herself that she said the wrong thing.
Could have said heads up.
She'll be taking a shower later and just yelling at herself.
After the container falls, you look over at Bernadette, and she's just hugging her knees in the corner. Should have said it. Now I'll never get my chance.
All right. So this comes down on him and just collapses. There's just the sound of rending metal and violence, I guess, is how I would describe this. It is horrible noise. That had just come down on top of Gargoyle.
Tinky winky bodies just everywhere.
Tinky Winky got bodied. That's for sure.
we were just talking. Like, sorry for the aside here, but my wife and I were just talking about how weird it was to have people attack Tinky Winky for like his magic bag or her magic bag. I don't know like Teletubby gender. Like anyway, their magic bag. This was from like the late '90s, early 2000s. For those that remember way back then, which is just weird to say way back then, but anyway.
Yeah.
So at any rate, this thing slams down on top of Gargoyle. And so the question here is what happens next, right?
Right.
That does bring us to that was that both your axes for Bernadette, or was that just one?
I believe that was
Those both.
both.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's both. One to trip him, and then one to double heavy blow.
right.
Yeah. Okay. So
Wait, I have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
One. My the double heavy blow I did was the container damage, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right on.
It's just having to line up perfectly with if you'd actually taken an improvised weapon, it works out the same. Yeah. All right. But it like the repercussions, like because we just know it's like a special effect. Like I'm not going to worry about like the like dealing with like the weight on top of him because we know he's super strong and all that like jazz anyway. So I'm not going to make him like make a lift roll to get it off of him or anything like that. All right. But I am going to spend the last of his willpower. And
Wait, he's a. I'll ask you later.
yep, spend the last of his willpower.
Should I have been giving willpower to my supervillains?
Only if they're full characters, not background characters.
Oh, you're so lucky, Mike.
All right. So he is going to shoot. Like I picture the cargo container like landing on him like lengthwise, right?
Yeah, that's what I was figuring.
And he will shoot up out the doors on the other side, right? Like it's like a gun firing a gargoyle into the sky. And that will put him at long range as he just like rockets into the air as fast as possible.
So can I interrupt and as he like leaves, attack him as he leaves the container?
Yeah, 100%. You just got to beat his roll to hit him as he's leaving.
That works. So I will go ahead and I'm going to use both my actions to use my full arcane power, and I'm also going to spend a willpower in order to double the dice. You kind of see the wings flare and the eyes glow in the angel wings as Paragon goes, "Not so fast," and that will be. Did I get that right? Yep. Times 2. And that'll be a 61 with a 6.
All right, so that will 100% hit. And what's the damage on that?
The damage will be 17. Corrosive. Magical.
Yep. And then, all right. I don't think he's getting enough from that.
I almost feel sorry for him.
Because he's vulnerable to magic, that just like rips through his armor. And so the bits and pieces of him that are left fall back to the ground. And I should, when I say bits and pieces of him, he retains his shape. Like if you could imagine like moving your arm up or in a different direction, but like this part of your arm is missing and that part of your arm is missing, but you still have full range of motion. right? That's kind of what we're seeing here,
Mhm.
right? So even though the acid is just like eaten through of him, whatever the magic that animates him allows him to operate, even though partially destroyed. But he hits the ground like, well, also like a ton of Tinky Winkies, because a ton is a ton.
It's true.
That is accurate.
Probably doesn't bounce as well as the Tinky Winkies did, though.
No, not at all. So in the aftermath of this, what are we doing here?
Well, we definitely should contact the authorities, because we're definitely not going to be able to, hold on to this guy.
Okay.
But we should check both of the crates interiors to see what's in them. I'm assuming we know what's in them, but just to verify.
So tell me what you think is in there.
I'm assuming drugs.
I'm gonna
Lots of drugs.
say orphan bodies.
Took that to a dark place.
Well, that makes sense for Bernadette.
Bernadette's nuts.
If she didn't actually believe that, she would have said it just to get a rise out of people.
I'm just lashing out because I didn't say heads up earlier.
All right, so Hopules like opens up the already partially open container, and you see like essentially like medical kits that say like XV, but it's like Roman numeral, so you can assume that's 15. Adrenal stimulator. And then if you open that, you will then see the same kind of pins that you were seeing from the swimmer's backpack, right? It's the same look. So if you want to, you can give me a fortune intuition roll.
Fortune.
Oh, from everyone or just from Bunny?
Let's just go from Hopules, since he's the one looking at it right now. Also, I love to make Mike make intuition rolls. It's just a highlight of my day.
Yeah, I know you're evil.
Yeah. So presumably this is not the final product, right? Like something's happening with this, and then they're putting the fluids back in. And so I'm going to let you guys think about that. But let's take a quick, let's call it a 15-minute break. Everyone will step away, and then when we come back, we'll figure out what to do with these adrenal stimulators. Does that work for everyone?
Works for me.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
And we're back.
Hey, everybody, we came back.
Did you miss us?
Well, I missed you,
Aw.
Oh,
so we got that. All right, with everyone back, let's do a quick recap. So, following the events at the at the deal, you use the GPS in the van to trace it back to the docks, where you found a group of jocks led by a living statue gargoyle, unloading crates of material. Convincing the jocks not to intervene, you guys were able to take down Gargoyle pretty quickly. And you found out that inside the crates was some type of adrenal stimulator. At least that's what that says on the tin. It looks like some kind of military grade combat drug would be the guess, right? And then it seems pretty clear, at least to Hopkins, that this has to go through some process to get to whatever is happening to make it snake oil. Like, this is not the final snake oil product. Right?
Right. So they have some kind of base of operations they have to take this stuff to, clearly.
And bring it back to our own lab.
we'll have to look for clues around here. Do these crates look anything like the ones that we got at the deal?
So you have an outer crate and an inner crate, right?
Uh-huh.
Like essentially like a shipping container, and then the product container, which is also a crate, and the product container is similar to the ones that you saw at the deal.
Gotcha. So the thing that the gargoyle was trying to fly away with, the big heavy thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And just to verify, are both crates the same? The insides?
Yeah, like if you look at all four, they're all this stimulator. Does anyone have any talents that would relate to like geopolitics or things along those lines?
Maybe.
I don't.
Yeah, I doubt the stuffed bunny has anything relating to like global politics, but I figure it's worth asking.
Yeah, I don't see anything that's politically driven for my character.
Actually, I feel like you could argue that being an archaeologist, you would have to deal with geopolitics going to various countries and other places to, dig stuff up.
Now that you say that, if we're talking about border and like customs, like border security, customs, that sort of thing, and travel between places, absolutely.
And that is
Anything that would affect that.
exactly what we're talking about. Go ahead.
I was like, I have world knowledge if the world is like 15 blocks or so.
I have
No,
history.
it's a little broader than 15 blocks. So KG, give me a wisdom and career archaeologist roll.
Okay.
And let's see if anything on here trips any bells for you.
Okay. So that's 3 dice, correct?
That is 3 dice.
All right. So wisdom and career archaeologist, 2 of my better stats. And voila, 30.
Okay. So there is a logo on like stamped onto each of the stimulators, right?
Mhm.
And you realize that it is the Geo corporate logo. This is the Global Environmental Operations, and they are a company that is like sanctioned, basically around the world. Like anyone that recognizes the OFAC list is going to recognize Geo as being a rogue nation state after it annexed a province in Romania.
Okay.
So they aren't like a good organization, even though their name is a little bit one of those euphemisms or
Yeah, I was
whatever.
gonna say environmental. That sounds great.
Yeah, no. Their motto is bringing a better tomorrow through the suffering of today.
Turns out the environment they like is evil.
That's right.
I imagine some CEOs doing this somewhere.
Inspector Gadget.
It's not,
I'm thinking of the claw now.
And so these clearly were not shipped above board.
Right.
So whatever's on the manifest, wherever the manifest may be, is going to be some sort of cover or shell company or something of that nature.
Yes. Because like these goods cannot legally enter in the US.
Yeah. So while we're waiting for the authorities to arrive,
And they only found we only found 3 cases.
well, I'm not listening. La la la. And I think at least Paragon's going to want to try and find any documentation related to this. Where were they going to put the crates? Were they going to put them in the van? Were they expecting the van to carry them? That sort of thing.
Yeah. So just like looking at the scenario, like the van came here first,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it does seem like
And it showed up with like finished goods.
well, it showed up with a finished good, right?
Well, I mean, there were multiples in there, enough for multiple people. That's what I mean by goods.
Yeah.
So we
But
think
my point is that there's a difference between the Mark 15 adrenal stimulator and nickel, right? Those are two different things.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like it showed up with finished goods. We don't have finished goods here. We have a component. So my guess
I mean, at
is
the
that
deal. Yes, at the deal.
yeah,
they showed
at the deal. Yeah, at the deal, they showed up. So they came from here and went there with finished goods.
right.
We get here and we have unfinished product.
so we should have a look around and see if
Yep.
it's being made here.
Yeah. So where were they taking it? Like this shipping container can't be super far. They're not going to carry these things all the way across the dockyard.
No, but that gargoyle would.
But the gargoyle wasn't. When we first rolled up, the gargoyle was directing and the guys were doing all the unloading.
Yeah. So give me a I can give you like a hint if you want to make a fortune intuition roll.
Can I make a roll like that? I have a lot of fortune and intuition.
Yeah, go for it.
Right? I think that's 15 plus 3d6.
See, I think the issue ends up coming is they could very easily have brought whatever their mixing agent is here, mixed it here, sent that out for a quick sale while they moved the current shipment to wherever they were planning on going.
Absolutely. But we should at least eliminate Occam's razor.
Okay. So you can actually see where one, this isn't the first shipping container, right? And two, there are crates loaded onto a pair of trucks, right? So clearly they were going to have people driving this somewhere else.
I
Gotcha.
think it's time to follow GPSs again.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could always look in the van's GPS and look for other places that were frequented. Anything
Well, not
that's safe.
van, what do you call it? Crushed, but some of these other vehicles around here.
Oh, true. The van got crushed.
Yeah, you crushed the van like front end first. And go ahead and give me a. Who was it that suggested checking the cars for GPSs?
Me,
Yep.
All right, roll your fortune and serendipity.
fortune and serendipity. I don't have serendipity. I have fortune.
So it's fortune and 2 dice.
I feel like we also need to contemplate. Do we think Geo is selling this to whoever is turning it into a drug? Is that the kind of thing Geo would do?
I think Geo would make a buck however they want. But
Maybe
They
Geo's
could.
trying to destabilize this
18 with a
area.
6.
Yeah.
We got an 18 with a 6.
Okay, so neither of the trucks have GPSs in it, but what you do have is like you dig around in one of them and you find like in the cup holder a crumpled up piece of paper with an address on it, right? Like it's got like this address and another address.
All right. Well, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to come out and show everybody else the address, take out my cell phone, and start Google mapping up this address if Google Map is in this world.
All right.
Unless I use another mapping service.
It's Moogle Map.
Google. Is this Narsha? All this is happening in Narsha
I don't know what that is.
from FF6. It's the Moogle city in FF6.
Okay. That's Final Fantasy. Okay. I got you now. I remember Moogles. I do. It's been a long time since I played a Final Fantasy game, but I do remember Moogles. And when you get below double digits is back when you get to when I was playing Final Fantasy games. It's been a while. I played 10. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent. So you want to try and look up where the location is, and I think there was another conversation happening at the same time. And let me get those details refreshed. So you were talking about like is it being sold legally or not legally? But is whoever is taking these drugs purchasing them from Geo, and you're like, you think Geo would sell to anyone they want to?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're going to sell to whomever, but it is possible that they're trying to start up some, or not start up, but have some sort of, off the books research that's happening, at least for testing, because that's what it seemed like before, is that they were testing it on the athletes, right? That they were kind of, the reactions were not something that seemed like it was something that was full to market yet.
Well, my concern would be if this was more Geo if Geo was actually hands-on with this, you would think they would actually be here. But it's not. It's a bunch of idiot jocks and a gargoyle.
But that was
Which makes me
gargoyle.
Could be minions. They could be minions.
Yeah, but I figure like you'd think like a big evil corporation would have a better setup than like guys just peddling drugs to athletes. I figured they could do something more impressive than that. I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me, I guess, is what I'm saying. This doesn't seem like the kind of thing a giant corporation, evil corporation would do. It seems too small scale for them.
It's pretty obvious, right? That the superhumans, the gargoyle, they work for whoever works for the corporation. These guys are just out here to put it on the street.
If the corporation is to be implicated.
Right. And then, obviously, when they see how the drugs affect people, then they can tweak it, give it to their own soldiers, and make them super soldiers. I mean, I'm just speculating.
I mean, that could make sense.
Start smoking.
Yeah,
I think we're on the right track.
I could see that if, like, this is just, like, their test run to see if this can work, and they don't want to test it on their own people. It still seems so small scale to me, I guess.
Well, if it also destabilizes our region, bonus points for them.
I guess I just don't see drugged up athletes destabilizing a region.
Well, sports is very important to people. You wouldn't believe how important.
Maybe they're betting on these sports, and they're making $1 million bets on athletes that they pumped up.
College sports, though? That seems hard to hide.
I have a point there too.
While that conversation's
situation's
happening,
weird.
Paragon's going to wander off over to the gargoyle.
Okay.
I will follow
Finish
him.
up with the conversation. Just letting you know, Dave.
Great.
I
So
don't
the
think we-
gargoyle is in kind of like a perched state. Like this seems to be like if it is hibernating, this is the state that it's in, and you can see like pebbles and silt kind of like moving into the nooks and crannies to refill the gaps.
Maybe you should punch him in the face again.
I mean, I could punch him in the
Twist his
face.
head off.
Well, if he's healing, then I don't want to fight him again.
Can you unscrew his head and keep it?
But I don't think we really want to kill him because we need to figure out what's going on.
No, let's not kill him. Can I tear apart this container and wrap it around him?
Yeah, for sure.
No. That'll
Why
probably be better.
Why don't the two of us work together to do that?
That works.
Head.
Okay. And so it takes a while. It's been a busy night for the local police, but they do arrive. More so, the MCPD, which is the Metahuman Crime Prevention Division of the FBI, arrives as well.
As soon as they show up, I drop whatever I'm holding telekinetically.
Okay.
You're not doing a crime, Bernadette. You're fine.
I don't want them to know I have powers.
I'm a bunny. I have
Paragon
powers.
will greet the MCPD.
So the feds are they actually seem to be deferring to the local police. Which the police were aware that you were going to be here and doing this thing. And so what is the conversation that happens there?
So Hopkins, I think you want to split this, and you talk to the locals, and I'll talk to the feds.
Sure, I'm okay with that.
And I'll watch the gargoyle.
Yeah, I mean, I can start off explaining that we came here, we found the gentleman gargoyle along with a group of jocks unloading these shipping containers and loading them into a truck, pointing to the truck over there. After identifying ourselves, we managed to convince the jocks not to get into the fight, took down the gargoyles, the jocks all ran off. And we found what appears to be combat stimulants from a evil corporation named Geo within these 4 shipping containers.
All right. So they'll take that statement, and they'll say, "Okay, well, I guess it's good that we brought the feds. We just assumed there'd be more metahuman crime." But
At that point, that's when Paragon will start talking and kind of directing it towards the feds about the powers and the weaknesses that he's sussed out about the gargoyle.
Give me an etiquette roll.
Oh goodness!
So this will be expression and etiquette.
Can I continue to try to collect the gargoyle's head as a new inventory item?
So you're going to try and decapitate him?
Yes. We only need his head.
That's hardcore.
What?
Bernadette is gonna watch.
I think the assumption is like if you decapitate him, he'll live, but you have no evidence of that.
Well,
Is that gargoyle lore?
I have no. Is that gargoyle lore?
It's what do you call it? Robot lore. That's kind of what I'm going on.
It's not a robot.
Oh, he's a
He's
robot.
a magical construct.
Cut his head off then.
He's not
He's
a
magical
robot.
construct.
It's not a robot, but doesn't where would they put the brain part? What do you call it?
So he's a magical robot, is what you're saying.
That's what I would classify this thing as.
Take its head.
I
Let
am
me-
totally distracted by them discussing about decapitating the gargoyle, and I only got a 15.
All right,
And
let me cover that 15, and then I'll come back to this whole decapitation conversation.
I'm just saying.
Wait,
She makes a good point.
no.
All right, so the MCP, the officer, like he'll listen to the descriptions and say, okay, I think we know who we're dealing with now. There is a gang that call themselves the Brood. They are a group of metahumans. So the man that you have captured here is the leader's enforcer. We're not exactly sure how these two teamed up, but he seems extremely loyal to the gang's leader. The other, it just seems like an island of misfit metahumans.
That fits the
And-
description with Rampage.
Yeah. His Rampage is just a force to be reckoned with. And then he has a woman. I'm not sure how to describe her, but she has a serpentine-like anatomy. Might be the best statement. And then he turns. He's like, Hopkins, make sure detritus is still under wraps.
There.
They have a fifth member, if you can call it that. There was a group of anti-metahuman terrorists who Harbinger fused together, and Mock, the team's leader, likes to keep him on ice. Mock's a psychic, and we think that's how they're able to focus detritus. But the last time I heard, he was at a DBC facility where they were trying to find a cure for what had been done to him, or done to them. I don't suppose it's appropriate to use a singular in that statement. He kind of gets lost for just a moment thinking about it. Like, look, if we're dealing with the Brood, this is a collection of bad individuals. We've already got two under wraps, and so that's good, right? But if Mock is still out there, we should be prepared for things to get worse before they get better.
Well, maybe we haven't seen anybody else. I'm assuming he's still out there somewhere.
So, as to this conversation around decapitation, unless Miranda is going to attempt to stop the MCPD officers, they will be placing a inhibitor collar around said neck.
Okay, I will let them do the inhibitor collar.
And then, calling in an extra team because they're going to need people to lift him into a van.
Oh, I can help with that. Oh wait,
Oh,
no,
God.
I can't. No, I can't. I have no idea how to help with that.
I can help with that.
The rabbit can help with that. I'm gonna go over here with Paragon and Officer Exposition.
I mean, like if like they make mention of the fact that they need to call in another team, Hopkins will hop over to where Gargoyle is, pick him up, and then just casually hop back to where they are and go, "Where do you need him?"
They will have you put him into a transport van. To note, they do not remove the sheet metal wrapping around him. Like they may have him in an inhibitor collar, but you know what? We're going to keep that on there just for safe measure.
That actually raises my opinion of them. They're smart.
And then, of course, like once he's in the van, they're going to be putting other seeing if they like reach his legs, put on restraints there and stuff like that. But
that's why I don't want to help them.
Yeah, the head of the feds, I'd like to ask a good constable. So you say there's 2 more members free of this team. A lady of a snake form and a psychic gentleman named Mock. I believe we have found a piece of paper with an address on it. Would you be up to giving us support as we go and investigate?
yeah, we can do that.
I hope this snake lady will turn from her evil ways so that I can take her out on a date.
We can try that, but I do not have high hopes. These villains seem to be pretty far deep into the not so friendly side of villainy.
There's a friendly side of villainy?
Yeah, see, not all villains are psychopaths, monsters. Some are just people in bad situations who do bad things because they can't get out of their shitty situation.
What if they're in mediocre situations and do bad things anyway?
Well, then they're idiots, and you can usually steer them into a better life if they're willing to listen.
Just don't tell them they're idiots.
This is correct.
Well, you've already lost me.
But yeah, so far we've had very good, what's the term? What's the word I want? A very good time working with the local police, and we'd love to extend that to government police if you want to work with us as we try and mop up the rest of this team.
Look at us, we're not vigilantes.
I mean, technically we are, but we are friendly and good-natured vigilantes who work with our local law enforcement.
The kind of generation vigilantes.
What's the role to pickpocket someone?
Sleight of hand.
Never mind. I was going to try and take an immediate left turn into crime, but I don't have the skills for it.
Technically, sheriffs are not part of the police department. So we could be a sheriff squad.
Now all I can picture is Hopkins with a little sheriff star pinned to him.
We're all getting. I'm making that when we get back to base after we're done with this. I'm making us sheriff stars, and I'm going to register us with the federal office to become sheriffs for this area. How's that? Then we're going to be all official-like. And
Hopkins, you'd look adorable with a sheriff star. That's for sure.
And I'm going to pick up Hopkins now because
it feels like a great way to abuse my power.
And then right on the shoulders. Just how fast is Hop Achilles?
Madam, I would kindly request that in future any picking up activities are first requested before activated upon.
I'm sorry, I'll put you back down. I thought that was going to be okay.
Well, I'm not against it. I merely request that you put in a request before lifting. As to your question about my speed, I am not particularly fast, though I do have an excellent high jump.
See, we should be working on that together because I'm not that high of a jumper, but I am most definitely fast. Oh, I have a plan for a combo move.
I don't want to be this vigilante, but we also lost our ride in this fight. So who's going to give us a ride back to?
Well, considering we acquired a nice truck, pointing to the truck where they were loading the drugs into it.
Well,
Keep that as
Yeah, we'll
evidence.
upgrade.
That's not evidence.
yeah, that's now police evidence.
That's
Well,
a
technically
vehicle upgrade for us.
Technically, so was the van, but we still kind of use that as well.
Yeah, but that I wasn't going to count that. I said it got destroyed. Goddamn bunny.
Yeah.
Right.
So you had made an arrangement with the police after it was checked in as evidence, and then you kind of destroyed it afterwards.
Well,
No,
it got destroyed in a fight with a bad guy.
Technically, it did
It's
exactly.
still evidence.
It went forward as cars do, and it just hit a wall.
Right. I'm not sure there'd be much of a problem if we unloaded the contraband from the truck and used the truck to go to the new location, since they're expecting the truck to show up there. Basically repeating what we did here.
Cops premiums are already going to go up for one vehicle. Might as well make it 3 or 4. I mean 2. I meant 2.
I just don't want to be perceived as car thieves either.
So since the MCPD is willing to give you backup, like they can give you a ride there. Also, does anyone need like medical treatment?
I can use a tall, frosty can of willpower.
I'd just like a tall, frosty chocolate. Chocolate frosty.
Who doesn't like a chocolate frosty?
Just pop a top on some willpower, like 3 points.
Don't think it works that way.
No. Since the federal police did offer us a ride, I will pull out a plate of brownies and offer it to them as a thank you.
All right. Okay. So I think you guys are able to work out how the ride situation, the ride sharing, is going to sort itself out.
Yeah.
And the question is, like, are you heading to that address right now? I think is what it comes down to.
Yeah, night young.
Might as
Well,
well.
actually, the night is basically over. You guys are heading to this address at early morning. And let me set this up for you, unless anyone has any questions.
The sun's not up. It's still nighttime.
So the what's the word I'm looking for here? The building that you got. So you actually end up going across the bridge to the other side of the city, and into one of like the worst neighborhoods. There, you start going into housing areas where like buildings have been abandoned or like reclaimed by the city, condemned areas. But eventually you will find you will arrive at at a 4-story building, and from here, there's no clear, like this is just the address, right? But something is happening. It's a 4-story apartment building. Okay, something is going on here. But the question is what, and yeah, the question is what, and how do you find who's responsible inside this building? So I think that might be where we leave off for the night. Any questions, comments, concerns? How do people feel about tonight's session?
Sorry I was late, but it felt pretty good.
Yeah, it was good.
I enjoyed it.
I got to see Paragon grip his medallion and punch people in the face. So
With magic.
with
Yeah.
magic.
I was punching from a distance.
I'll actually leave off on this. So Hopkins gets back to Jones and says, Cap, he's gone. And that's what we'll punch out on.
Oh, the guy that they thought was in containment?
Yeah, detritus.
Oh. Dun dun dun.
The big
that's
reveal.
gonna be bad.
All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and we'll call the stream here, and we'll pick it up on the 23rd.
Bingo bango.
Thanks
See
to
you
everybody.
then, everybody.
23rd of August.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one, all.
Later.
Later. Is it okay if I make it raid another channel so that people aren't? All right. I know who I want to raid. They're a good person. Raid started.